All right, we're back. Hey guys, my mic died in the morning. I got it all fixed. Good morning, everybody. Happy let's see if I'm streaming. Yes, I'm streaming. Let's see if the sound is there. Nice, sound is there. Cool. Hello, everybody. Morning. Hey, Agustin, you're the first one. Hey. Let me do an official announcement for everybody. Yeah. My mic died in the morning, but I got it back on. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope everyone is doing fine. Hopefully well rested in the morning. I mean, over the weekends. I'm not usually rested in the morning. I'm not a morning person. But you know what? If I get up extra early, like around 4 a.m., then I'm rested. I have no idea how that works. All right, let me make some other posts on other social media. Hey, morning, everybody. Or evening. All right, I need to post onto Instagram, and I need to post onto VK. Yeah. How's everybody doing? I'm excited for today's lecture because we're gonna be studying facial expressions. Yeah, facial expressions are really fun. Yeah. If you want to support the stream and, you know, call your grandma as usual, say we are live. If you want, you can also share on the official announcements on Instagram. That would also be very beneficial. And yeah, we're gonna wait for another 3 minutes because we're starting a little bit. We're starting 5 minutes late, so we're gonna only wait 3 minutes. Yeah. But today should be lots of fun. Today should be lots of fun. Posting on Instagram. We are live. All right. All right. I made all the posts. Whew. It's hard to be a streamer. So many things you have to keep in mind. Drink a lot of water, guys. Yep. It's been pretty hot here in Wyoming. Hey, morning. My brother is in the chat. If you guys never seen or never met my awesome little brother, let me show you his work. He's one of my favorite artists, and even though he's been only added for like, I don't know, just a little bit, you should check him out. I'll drop the link in the chat. Hey, more people coming in. Hey, Boris the Bully Dodger. Right, I'm ready for battle. Got my water, got my juice. Hopefully you got your juice and water. I got a little bit spooked that my microphone completely died, but it didn't, so that's okay. How's my voice? Is it nice? Is it... My wife is smirking in the background. It's nice, thanks. Okay, cool. So sound is okay. Nice. All right. Hopefully the internet gods will bless us today. It should be fine. Now it's zombie Mike. Yeah, it's undead Mike. I brought it back to life hastily. All right, shall we start? Yes, we shall. All right, today I'm gonna have a little bit of a webcam action going on because we're gonna be studying facial expressions, and it's nice for you to see my face. I need to do a warning to my wife, my dear wife. I have my webcam on. So please be aware of that. Yeah, so facial expressions. They're a crucial part of our characters in general, right? Last time we talked about gesture, and today we're going to be talking all about the angry faces and the happy faces and the disgusted faces. Because when we think about our characters, we need to think about their acting. We need to think about their reaction to the things that they go through. And there's a few basic emotions that serve as a baseline, and then their combinations can be rearranged to get other different facial expressions. So, without further ado, let's start with our first facial expression, right? Which is probably gonna be happiness, right? We've all been happy. This is kind of like, this is our goal in life, is to have a forever smile on our face and be happy with our lives, right? What goes into emotion of happiness? And to understand what kind of muscle structures pull our mouths, our nose, and our eyes, we need to always keep in mind that our face consists of muscles, and those muscles reacting to our environment contract and expand and make up an emotion. So for me, when I draw, usually, and guys, it's not important to know all of the muscles. Like you don't need to know all of the muscle groups, and where the fat lies. It's definitely helpful if you want to, go an extra mile, but it's not very, it's not very necessary. I'll link all the artists that I'm gonna be using as example in the description later on when I get to it. But for meanwhile, just pay attention to the slides. So for me, when I'm drawing facial expressions, I always like to, first of all, look in the mirror and always feel out the emotion. So with happiness, right, what do you get? First of all, right, let's get the four main muscle groups that usually manipulate our emotions or skew our face in different ways. So for me personally, I always like to look at this muscle around the eyes as one big circle that either contracts or expands, right? Then we have the eyebrows action over here, So if you try to frown or try to be angry and just press your fingers around here. You'll feel how it pushes it down, right? Those are the muscles that push our eyebrows action. So if we raise one, it raises up. If we raise it down, it raises down. So this is one of the muscles that does the eyebrow action. And then the eye itself. The eye can go smaller, bigger, right? Usually when we open our eyes, our eyebrows go up too. Because usually the muscles work in tandem. It's like a dance, Then we have nose, those flaps. I call them flaps. I have no idea what the muscles are called. And honestly, do you need to? If you want to, sure. The only muscle I know is gluteus maximus, which is bum bum. That kind of sounds cool. But with face, I call those flaps, eyebrows, and then eye muscles. So if you're gonna do like a disgusting face, like you're in disgust, place your fingers right here and you'll feel them. As you go like this, you'll feel the flaps contract, right? And then when you relax, they relax, right? Same thing happens here when you just do here. Your cheek goes up. That's the muscle that controls that, right? Then you have your under the chin. So this muscle here, and for now, this is enough for now. And then, of course, we have our mouth that can open up, with the jaw, and it can close up. Another thing that you have to understand that we have a face on top of a skeleton, right? And this guy is Ben Eblin Design, very nice Instagram account that does a lot of breakdowns. I would really recommend following him, right? And one thing that we have to understand that sometimes our cheek, our jaw can drop, but we can decide not to open our mouth, so we can go right? So our jawline goes down, but we still have muscles and skin on top of everything. So this is really important when you're doing your facial expression to understand what's the underlying things, right? And then we have the mouth, right? And with the mouth, like we have a tension here, right? That can either open it or close it, and then skew the shape of it, right? So yeah, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a tangent that can 5. That can manipulate the shape of the mouth. And for reference, when you're doing any kinds of facial expressions, always go in front of the mirror, because the mirror is the best teacher, and you'll learn a lot just from studying your own face, right? And it's good to study your own face because you can put a little bit of yourself into your characters. Like a lot of people say that my characters a lot of the time look like me. And that happens unintentionally, because who are the person that you are spending the most time with? It's yourself, right? And that's kind of, you know, it's very logical that you're gonna have your own facial features in your own characters, right? So let's dive into basic human emotions, right? The first one is happiness. What happens when we are putting on a happy face, right? Usually our eyebrows go up, right? Our eyebrows go up a little bit. So the muscle here raises it a little bit, right? Then we have these muscles go up a little bit, right? And then it pulls the smile here. If you are more chubby, you'll get like big cheeks here. If you're a little bit skinnier, there'll be a little bit less, right? And then you get those kind of interesting lines here. And sometimes the nose itself, you have to understand that all the muscles are interconnected, and usually the face would pull the nose with it. Remember those flaps here, right? Because everything is connected to each other, right? So that's the basic emotion of happiness. But we as people, or as visual development artists, we always need to push the expression to an extreme, right? Right now we're looking at real people. So for example, in pushing the expression a little bit more to an extreme, see, this looks like, if you cover this up, this looks like she's yelling, you know, but with combining all the emotional cues, we know that she's smiling. First of all, the corners of the mouth go up. The nose is following, you know, the mouth and has a little bit, see this muscle? It went all the way up. And then usually if the smile is genuine, right, we have a little bit of our own eyelids covering the eyes, right? Because most of the times, you know, people say you should smile with your eyes, not with your mouth. So that's why a lot of the times when a person says, you know, this is going to be just my straight face, you know, I'll go closer to the camera. Ah, hi, you know, and they just smile with their face, not with their eyes. I can't do that because usually if I smile, it's usually genuine. But a lot of the times we as people, because most what we look at in our day-to-day lives is people faces. And even if you're not a professional psychologist or professional, you know, artist, you usually will be able to spot out ungenuine smile versus a genuine smile, because usually a genuine smile is when eyes, mouth, nose, everything is connected. But then usually when a person is not genuine when they smile, they'll have some kind of other emotion going on in their face, right? It could be like disgust or anger, and then all they're gonna do is just have a Hollywood smile, right? Just like this. This looks weird. Right? So, right? We as artists need to push the facial expressions to an extreme. And to do so, right, we need to use shape language in squash and stretch. How we're going to use it, I'm going to do a little demo later on. So right now we're just going to go over basics of motions and how they are made with the muscle groups. Then we're going to go over a very nice presentation by Lauren D. Austin. I just couldn't come up with anything better than she did, so why reinvent the wheel, right? And then we're going to dive into into examples and a demo, right? So for example, this is just genuine emotion, you know, she's happy here, also very nice smile, right? The corners of the mouth pull up. See, she has a little bit of the muscles here pulling up the nose, not too little, not too much, but we still have a little bit of those indentations here. Like for example, here, as you can see, her eyelid goes up a little bit and closes. If we, for example, if we close out the mouth, we can see that she's smiling, right? And that's usually the tell that a person is genuinely smiling. I like this one too. This one is a little more subtle. Same thing. See, across ethnicities, tribes, humans as emotions, it's all the same, right? Corners of the mouth go up. We got a little indentation here because of the muscles and the fat, right? And then we get eyelids closed off a little bit. And here, he still has a little bit of a tension here on the nose, but it's not so much, right? Some people have, you know, different people function differently. Like for example, if I do this, some of my muscles contract or spasm, so every person is different. But for example, we hear why this is so extreme is because, well, she's really pulling a smile out. The teeth are all the way out. You know, she's really contracting her nose, and her eyes are basically not visible because her eyelid is totally covering her, right? And another thing that happens is sometimes, you know, eyebrows raise up. Here, the thing is, you can't raise up an eyelid when you're also contracting so much. So that's why this facial expression doesn't have the eyebrows up. But if I'm smiling, right, usually the eyebrows slightly go up. Like for example, here, right? Yeah, or for example, here. You know, pretty genuine smiles with his eyes, with his mouth too, right? Okay, let's jump on to the next expression, because, you know, happiness is pretty straightforward. Everyone knows how it looks, you know. Now let's look at the opposite. You know, we have happiness, and then we have sadness, and then we have no idea what this is, right? This, I wanted to show this as an example. Whoops. Because, you know, it's nice to see people on trials. I watch a lot of trials. Why? Because usually you can, or I like to observe people in general, because you can see what their true intentions are. And we as humans, right, you know, I'm not really too involved in what happened with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but I know that a lot of people said that she seemed non-genuine, and that's usually because of facial expressions and body language cues. And we as humans were trained since we were this big to respond to them, because, well, you know, our survival depends on it. We need to understand how another person thinks and lives. Unless you're a psychopath, then you have to learn those things. Yeah, so with sadness, what happens? Interestingly enough, the eyebrows also raise up. Almost nothing happens to the eyes. Maybe they can go a little bit, you know, a little bit here. Nothing happens to the nose. Usually, when we think about sadness, the face is usually elongated because, right, it drops down. Seems the expression, why such a long face, right? Because we're just, you know, we want to completely relax our face, but then those things go down. The corner of our mouths go down, since making, you know, a sad smiley face. So the corners of the mouth goes down, the eyebrows raise up because of innocence, or usually they go, I like to say it in Russian, we have a saying, eyebrows in the shape of a house, you know, when they go, right? So they go like this. Yeah, same thing here. See, eyebrow shape is like a house. A little bit of eyelid goes here. The eyebrows might go a little bit down, you know, depending on how far away your eyeball is placed into your skull. And again, you know, the mouth shape goes down. Another thing that happens is your muscle of your chin also goes up a little bit, right? Because that's how humans work. I have no idea why God decided this is how sadness looks like. Who knows, right? Same thing here. See, the chin is here. She might have a little bit of a, you know, of a nose action muscle going in, but same thing. Yeah, eyebrows look like a little house. And this, I'm not sure if it's sadness, but we can technically see that her eyes are like this. But this more looks like a disgust slash sadness slash, I don't know, right? So that's why it's very questionable. Right? So next facial expression, we have anger, right? And anger is a super fun one. I like drawing angry faces because everything just squashes, you know. Usually you have the whole face usually goes like this. Your eyebrows go down. The muscles here also go down. Your nostril things, you know, they go up and they bring the whole nose with them, with it. They create those things. And usually your face, usually it's kind of like a sad expression, but you also usually use your teeth, right? So everything goes like this. This goes down. The chin goes up like this. And yeah, like there's subtle variations of this. See, like he kind of tenses his chin, you know, because usually when we're angry and when we want to keep it inside, we usually try to keep our mouth shut, and usually that means to tense your muscles here and here, right? And then again, eyebrows action, but nothing going here in the nose. Another thing that you have to understand, there's basically a dial from 1 to 10 that you can do. So for example, if you want to be really angry, right, it goes right? But if you want to be just a little bit angry, it can be like this. Then you can go, and then you can intensify it. So every time when you're doing a facial expression, just think from 1 to 10 how angry your character is. All you have to do is basically just imagine that eyebrows is a scale from 1 to 10, and then just make him more down or slightly down. You know, same thing about the nose. How angry is your character? You can make it all the way up, or you can just do a slight, you know, a slight disgust slash anger type of expression. Same thing with eyelids. Usually eyelids also close off a little bit because of the action here, and everything just pulls up. So yeah, same thing here. See, usually get those kind of indentations here. Then again, eyelids, eyebrows go down, and you know, mouth shapes can be all over the place, but for the most part, they usually should go down, right? Because, you know, sometimes, you know, people start yelling when they're angry, and then the mouth shape changes. But overall, if you just look at micro expressions, overall, usually, you know, the mouth goes down. Same thing. So see, now you kind of will understand how the rhythm of muscles work and which contract and what respond to what emotion, right? So again, happiness, eyebrows go down, mouth goes up. Sadness, opposite. You know, with happiness, I would say that the push and stretch, it's usually in the cheeks. So if you want to really push something, you can just make the cheeks extra, you know, like the Joker type of a deal. And then with sadness, it's usually the face elongates. So actually, if you want to do like a very sad face, you can either try to do like, you know, he's sad, you know, but if you want to do it really sad, you can elongate it, you know, and push it to the extreme. And that's why I like to do a lot of animation references usually, is because in animation, the push and stretch and emphasizing of the facial expression is usually like pushed to 500%. All right, so we went over anger, and now surprise, right? So we have happiness, anger, sadness, and now surprise. We've all been surprised here and there, and you know, surprise can be different emotions combined. Like, for example, this guy is surprised happy. So usually when we're surprised, our eyes widen up. So we can have, you know, we can have a bad surprise and be like, you know, or we can be happy surprised, you know, and that's us combining two emotions together now. Usually when people are surprised, they usually have their mouth open, maybe if it's pushed to the extreme. Why? And the eyes widen, right? Because if it's unexpected, your eyes open up subconsciously. Why? To get more visual information into your brain as fast as possible. You know, everyone probably saw, like, you know, videos of a baby finding something super fascinating and the baby goes, you know, the eyelids open up, just so much visual information just goes, right? But then we can also combine it. Like this is like incomprehensible surprise. And usually I don't really like looking at facial expressions singularly, just at them, because usually facial expressions are very connected to gesture, right? You see my arms, I'm always doing something with them, and it should usually reflect, my body should reflect what's going on with my face. So every time when you're drawing a character, right? Like for example, in the angry example, let's look at Logan or Hugh Jackman, right? When he gets angry, his muscles tense here. His whole body needs to reflect what's going on his face. So, and a lot of the times, what are mistakes that I see, it's usually some people will have a very boring gesture, maybe an interesting face, but usually everything should work in tandem, because if your face is experiencing something, usually if you're a human being and an alien, your body reflects that too. You know, if you're sad, you drop your shoulders. You know, if you're very, you know, excited, you go whoa, you know, etc., etc., etc. So always keep in mind, you know, the rest of the body when you're doing any kind of facial expression. So with surprise, it's usually the mouth drops down, eyes widen, eyebrows go up. Why? Because usually surprise, it's pretty close to fear sometimes. Because when you're surprised, your body doesn't know how to react. So what it tries to do, it tries to go, it tries to get as much oxygen in as possible, so your brain can function and your heart can do something. So you can, like, you don't know how to react. So your body is usually, you know, kind of like fight or flight reaction. Especially like if anyone was in a fight, you know, usually like when people start fighting, they usually have their eyes wide open, and then usually they have their mouth also open, and their nostrils start being very big. Why? Because body is trying to get as much oxygen in as possible. So same thing with surprise. We need to get as much visual information as possible, right? So eyes open up, eyebrows raise up, and our mouth usually opens up. You know, sometimes we can just do it without the mouth, you know, just gonna be. But usually when I'm pushing an expression to an extreme, I need to everything, eyes, nose, mouth, the whole shape of the skull needs to elongate and be very long, like, you know. And that's what makes, you know, facial expressions great in characters. It's usually just pushing it to the extreme. So again, like in this example, if you'll be like drawing it, pay attention to the shape of the whole face. You know, we all know that of what Dali made it, right? So it's kind of the same thing. When you're drawing your facial expressions, think of the skull itself, the whole shape of your character, as a push and as a stretch, yeah, pull and stretch. So for example, if we have something that like, you know, as anger, everything goes down, you know. If you're like very angry, you can just, you know, contract the whole skull. If you're going to be very surprised, you know, you can elongate everything. If you're going to be very sad, you know, also elongate everything. So use the shape of the head as, as another tool to bring your facial expression to the next level. So yeah, eyebrows up, eyes open, mouth down for more air because we don't know how to react. So fear, right? Fear this is a little bit kind of like a combination. This is fear plus I don't believe it plus she's screaming, right? But fear is usually something like this, right? This is very close to surprise in my opinion, right? Because again, the mouth is open, the eyebrows go up and the eyes widen up. Same thing. We need more air, fight or flight reaction, right? Eyes open, information. My brain needs to see everything, right? Am I in danger? Am I not? Right? This is a little bit kind of not very good impression, but again, eyebrows are up, mouth open, and then everything else not really. So this is a better facial expression. Again, eyes up, and mouth open. Like this guy's eyebrows are so open up that he even has little indentations in his forehead. She probably has Botox, that's why she doesn't have them. And I really like this facial expression. This is like amazing, right? Eyebrows up, Here he has a little bit of a nose action going on. I have no idea why. So this is kind of like a little bit of a disgust and surprise at the same time. But his mouth is open at the same time, right? So yeah, that's fear. And then the last one is disgust. Disgust is usually the reason why we usually contract our nose is because we kind of want to, kind of go away, from the smell, or if we see something visually disturbing, right? I have no idea why we do this because technically it opens up the nostrils more. But what we're trying to do maybe is to get away physically our nose from the, from the disturbing image, right? And usually our eyes go down. It's like, ew, our eyes go down. I mean, they close up a little bit. So eyelid goes like this, our eyebrows usually go down, right? So the muscles here contract down. Same thing with this. Right? Because we're trying to basically close off all of our facial holes, if that makes sense, right? Because we don't want to smell it, right? We don't want to taste it. We don't want to see it. So we're trying to, close it as much as possible. Like this guy really, see, even what he did, he even used his chin. So he even retracted his whole face physically from whatever he's looking at, right? And of course we have some variations, like one eye can be closed more than another. It's nice to have some variations. She has one of her mouth a little bit skewed to the right, but she's showing her teeth. Like, I don't know why people do that, but you can. For me, this is like all of this is valid disgust faces, right? But in terms of the classic ones, it's probably this mouth open. We're not sad, but we're not pleased, right? So, or we can sometimes have something like this, right? And it's a a representation of physically throwing out, like that's also can be disgust. And again, we have to push it to the extreme. The reason I I chose this photo is because it's very, very good. But again, this is not a regular facial expression. Not everything goes under, surprise, fear, sadness, happiness, structure in their combinations. And we're going to talk about combination a little bit later. Sometimes our facial expression could be totally unique to us, right? Or it could be, it could be a variation. So this still looks like disgust. Well, this not really looks like disgust, but, it could be. Like, this is kids all over America reacting to broccoli, right? So we can put it under configuration of disgust. Okay, so we went over, the basic mechanics of our face, right? Eyebrows either go up or down because of these muscles here, and then our eyes either contract, our lids go up or down because of this circle of muscles. Our nose expressing disgust or anger or going back is controlled by the flaps here, right? And then we have the tendons and muscles that control our mouth shape. And that does this, or this, or this, right? And then we have the, what's it called? The beard muscle. Let's call it the beard muscle. And it also reacts by contracting and elongating to our facial expression. Okay, so let's look at some examples of stylized things that implement the things that we just talked about and observed in real life, right? I'm gonna bring in Puba24 again, Veta Pavlovska, very awesome character designer that has facial expressions basically down to a T, right? Some of them are not like, this is just him looking with a surprise. So this is maybe a surprise. See what happens? Eyebrows go up, you know? But if this was an extreme surprise, you know, what we could have done like, you know, we could have elongated his nose, and he's gonna be like, oh, whoa, you know, ooh. But this is kind of like a subtle surprise. Again, every time you have a muscle, which is eyebrows, eyes, imagine a scale from 1 to 10 and how much you want to put it, all the way up or just a little bit. I'm gonna tell you this, it's usually, if you want a facial expression, it's usually needs to be dialed up all the way to 10. Sometimes maybe in the middle if we want to have like a subtle in between emotion, but usually the rule of thumb should be this: we dial it up 500 million%. Okay, so yeah, and his eyes are widened up because he's like, I need more, you know, information. So he looks to the side. It's like maybe he's spying on someone. So let's say, for example, here, this is not very anger. This is more kind of like, yeah, maybe this is it's a subtle anger, but he's like, am I right or am I right? Wait, where is that facial expression here? It's not. Oh yeah, he's like, go there. So he's slightly angry, but he's not angry enough to like have his eyelids cover. You know, look what happens if we just cover the eyelids, you know, and let's say we bring extra, you know, squash into his face. This looks much more angrier than this, right? This is just strict, go away, right? Or I'm gonna fire you. But this is like, go away, you know, and never come back type of a deal. So see, only by manipulating the eyelids, I pushed this emotion towards anger. And by opening the eyes a little bit, this is a strict guy who is yelling at someone, or who is saying you did something wrong, or say like, look there, and he's kind of concerned, but not angry, right? So for example, we already went over here, right? This is just, you know, this is just serious. His eyebrows are down. He's thinking. Usually when our eyebrows are down, we're not really focused on anything around us. So for example, when I am thinking about my next lecture, Luba will see me a lot of the times just, you know, just having my eyebrows down and then just looking into like an area. But the thing is, what I'm actually focusing on, and that's what a lot of people do, they are focusing on nothing in front of them, but their eyesight is, it basically represents that they are focusing on what's in their brain by then pushing their eyebrows down and then basically watching a movie of thoughts in front of their eyes, right? If this was a hologram, right, you know, he's looking into his thoughts that are in his brain. So a lot of times, you know, people go, ooh, Misha, stop, come back to earth, and I'm focusing on something intensely. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on an invisible hologram. So this is the facial expression, right? He's serious. He's seriously deep in his thought, right? And see, this is not anger. This is just seriousness. And this is anger, right? See, same thing. Corner of the mouth goes down. Eyes, you know, again, to maybe push it to the extreme, we can do this. See, the eyelids, like, yeah. But maybe she wanted his eyes to be open. So maybe he's so enraged, and he needs to see everything around him to punch someone. And again, eyelids or eyebrows go down, and there's a little bit, as you can see here, the nose also goes up like this. So we get anger. This is just relaxed, you know. He's not really experiencing anything, but he's still serious. He's a serious dude. So that's why he has eyebrows always down. And this is kind of like a variation of anger, right? I think this is 1-2 step if this was animation, right? He goes anticipation, see squash, and then release, right? Same thing, right? Mouth corners go down, nose up, eyebrows down. Ta-da! Very nice. So, did I delete it? No. So let's look at other examples, because see, you can use this, I don't know, shape language that we learned from our fellow human beings over the course of God knows how many years, right? We can implement this into stylized characters too, right? Look at this guy. He doesn't look like a human at all. His shape language is very, you know, pushed to the extreme, but we see the same cues, which is eyebrows goes down. I assume this whole thing is a nose, so I see those indentations here, and that represents this. So we're like, all right, his nose, quote unquote, is up, his eyebrows is down, and just by those two cues, visual cues that we can just combine together, we can like, he's probably angry, and then we see the face. In the face, like, well, the corner of the mouth goes down, and he exposes his teeth like a predator, right? So this reads as anger, right? This guy is probably like a, maybe, I don't know, a bad guy who is really enjoying himself and what's going around him. And see, smile, corners of the mouth goes up. You know, if we wanted to make him, you know, very jolly, we could have, you know, raised the eyebrows even more up, you know, and this way he's gonna be like, what's up? See, but you know, he wanted to have like a smiling villain type of a deal thing. And so, for example, here, like this guy, is he angry? Well, this is kind of like he just looked somewhere and he's like, but he's not. I don't think he's. Well, yeah, he's probably angry. So same thing, right? Doink, doink. And a little bit of indentations here. But if he wanted to be very angry, we could have did this. See how much just you know, just manipulating a one eyelid, it changes from surprise, doesn't know what to do, and that's his, you know, regular ugly face, kind of like poker face. But then if we just do an eyelid, just, you know, being slightly out there, he's like, meh, right away. It's amazing, right? Same thing here. This kind of like type of a guy. Here, again, we manipulate the corners of the mouth, but here he's frowning. So he's like, oh, I gotta do something dirty today. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. So what about this thing? For example, this is genuine emotion of sadness. All right. Eyebrows go up, but this is very interesting. Like, she's sad and we can see it, right? But she also has her nose like she's disgusted, almost like she's hugging her father and she's looking back at what she did and she's disgusted with the whole situation, or you know, she's having a hard time processing what happened before and she's happy that she is with him. But all of this is going through her brain. So a lot of the times when you think about your character, you have to think, what is he going through? So for example, if he just went through something super scary, you can combine like being scared and being sad at the same time and combine those two emotions. And we're going to talk about it a little bit later. So some character studies from Moana. As you can see, same things. This is a more of exploration of an in-between. You know, this is kind of like, oh, you know, this facial expression shows that he's kind of happy and his eyebrows are always up, you know, which usually means innocence, but it's not a very strong emotion. Like, I don't know how to describe this. What is it? It's a neutral good in between phase between an emotion, a clear emotion. Yeah. So, and then same thing here, for example, right? Fear. This is why I like stylized characters, because fear is usually like her eyes really widen up, right? And her mouth again is opened up to get more air in. And then her eyebrows are always also up. But see, in different styles, certain information gets redacted. Like, for example, we're not gonna have like, you know, too much of a this happening or this happening, right? Or this happening. We're not gonna have any lines here and there, only when it's absolutely necessary, like here, for example, right? Or a little bit here and a little bit here, absolute minimum. She's not showing, her indentation of her nose, etc., etc., etc. So when you are doing anything stylized, right? Again, think about the main cues. And usually in stylized animation, usually the only thing that is left is usually purely eyebrows, purely mouth, purely eyes, and that's it. And you can, you can do any kind of emotion just, just with a smiley face and just with a mouth and eyes. So a lot of the times what I would say that if you want to create any emotion for your character, right? Try to always think about your character as a smiley face, right? Because this is technically this. The only thing that you're doing, you're implementing what I talked about in terms of like shape of the eyebrows and the eyelids. But if you can do a smiley face like this, you can draw any facial expression. Because honestly, just turning this into, I'll do a demo a little bit later, but into angry face, it's absolutely almost the same thing. So a lot of the times, if you want to just practice facial expressions, just draw a bunch of facial, smiley faces and look at your own face and try to incorporate those lines. Because, a smiley face is now a classic thing that we text every day. And nowadays, if you're not gonna put a smiley face into your text message, you're too serious, And why is it so classic? Well, because we see it every day. And again, it's really hard to fake ungenuine facial expression. And it brings so much more to a character design into your story if you can incorporate that, because we read it like this. It's just and then we can feel the emotion of the character in the entire scene in a split of a second. So it's a very crucial tool to use, because we as visual development artists, we tell stories and we tell emotion. And facial expressions is pure emotion that we can empathize with our main character or a character from the scene, right? And please use it, because a lot of the times I see just characters turned around, or, characters, let's say they'll be buying something at a shop, for example. If let's say it's a painting of a, medieval marketplace, and then all I see is just faces just exist. But if you're gonna do like, oh, thank you for this, I don't know, orange, or a guy can be like, scratching his head, like, is that right? You can bring so much more into your scene just by introducing faces. Of course, if it's not going to distract from the focal point. All right, so in my own art, when I do facial expressions, I usually, so what you see right now is an OBS camera, right? I usually launch OBS and I stretch my little cube that I am right now. And then I start making faces, like, for example, when I was doing this facial expression, the guy was like, he's grumpy, that's why he has a frown. He kind of goes, right? I just sat in front of a mirror and just did this for a really long time, right? And so the kid itself, right? His eyebrows kind of up, and he's like, he's at peace. I also, just try to get in this peaceful mindset and you know, I've seen I've seen my wife sleep a lot of the times, and you know, when she's having a good sleep, it's kind of like, what? Oh yeah, I'll be careful. My wife is saying, "Don't talk about me." That's okay. Yeah, but for example here, extreme happiness, right? He's trying to, again. So the story is a giant bear is chasing him, and the boy stole, a sword from him, right? And he's super ecstatic because he has a weapon of his own for the first time in God knows how many days or weeks, and he really wanted one. And now he's like, yeah, you know, his mouth is super opened, his eyes wide, right? And then his facial expression is all open, right? Eyes open, facial expression open. Hear the world, here I come, right? And then this guy, same thing, but fear, right? Because look at this. Only the mouth shape is different. And so, for example, if we're just gonna, you know, if we're gonna just change this facial expression to this, I need to also change the, right? This is this is extreme happiness now, and this looks weird because he looks like a zombie chasing him, right? This looks super weird. But the only thing that I change is the mouth shape, right? It's the same expression, like open to the world, open eyes, and one shape that has changed in his face and now shows extreme fear, right? And panic. This guy, extreme happiness. This guy, he just goes raw. All right, for example, with the goblins, I really like doing surprise faces. And there's different versions of surprise. Like this guy, it's not a surprise, but he just woke up and he has no idea what's going on. So he's all crooked. His eyes are not even, and you know, one of his eyes is like this, another one is like this. He's like, what the hell is happening, right? That's a nice facial expression. That I giggled a lot when I did this one. And the story of this image, right? And this is kind of like, how do we use facial expression to emphasize our story further, right? So this guy goes, you know, takes the sword, and then, you know, a branch breaks, and this Viking goes, he was about to kill them, and then this guy's like, and then this guy's going, yeah, trying to steal the dog, and this guy is pulling the rope to steal the dog, and this guy is stealing a shoe, and this guy is stealing a shoe, right? And then something happens, and he's like, so see, this facial expression of this guy is like, you know, his mouth is like, it was probably doing some kind of expression, and then it got stuck in an uncomfortable position. He just goes, eyes wide open, right? Because he needs to be very careful, you know, analyze the situation very well. This guy was probably angry before that, but then again, extreme surprise. I think he was maybe doing type of a deal, but then that expression, instead of anger, went to like this. So the corner of his mouth dropped down, right? His eyebrows went up, eyes go like this, right? He's like, right? Same thing with this guy. He was angry, right? But just imagine if a split second ago he was like this, but then he went, right? So now when you look at this image, you perceive it like, I could have just, you know, put regular facial expressions in, and they could have just been blanked. But again, it would have taken away so much from this painting. My favorite character out of all of them is this guy, and I really want to bring him back in next paintings. And he's really like, am I gonna die today? Is he gonna slaughter me? Right? This guy is just creepy, you know, with open eyes. Yeah. And then, for example, with sadness, right? This is a very personal painting of me. It's a man of faith having a, you know, crisis of faith, and he's searching for God, type of a person, you know. And he has his eyebrows up as usual, right? It's not anything new. I could have you know, maybe put something like this, but now this facial expression is like, he's like, oh, my candles, and it doesn't look good. And this way he's like, he's fearful of something, and at the same time he's sad because his eyes are widened, right? And I really like his facial expression, it means a lot to me, right? And for example, same thing here, like this creature is like, he should be angry, but it's surprised. Actually, I like to do a lot of surprise in my paintings for some reason, right? So it has its mouth open in a roar, but it's not more of a threatening roar, it's kind of like, ah! You know, and his eyes, you know, because I couldn't draw eyebrows for the bat. So basically what I did, I simplified this circle. You know, if you would joint an eyebrow with an eye, I joined it into one shape, and I made it in the shape of this. See, if a person would have been surprised or sad type of a deal, because I'm pretty sure those Vikings are 100% gonna kill that bat, right? And when it comes to excitement, you know, I already showed you the goblins many times, right? See, it's the same facial expressions over and over again, except for this one. This one's like, yeah, he's kind of like, I have no idea why we do this, but it's kind of, I have no idea why the facial expression of when a person goes, you know, with a tongue, maybe because it kind of shows that he's so focused, he needs to have his tongue out. I have no idea, but all the rest, it's like, see, this is fear, you know, his mouth is open because he's already been damaged before. This guy has no idea what's going on, so that's why, you know, his facial expression is kind of like blank, right? And this guy is like, bomb, you know, and yeah. And for example, with this guy again, see, facial expression, he has no idea what's going on, so his mouth does nothing. His eyes just stare into different directions because he has no idea what's going on with them. And the other guy is just excitement. Yeah, right? Another thing, like when you are doing your facial expressions, again, make the sounds of your characters. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I make a lot of sounds when I do the lectures or when I paint, because it helps me to get into the mood of the character and get the right expression. So for example, this guy, he kind of goes, yes, you know, it's not happiness, it's yes. He's like, he's rejoicing. He doesn't have any, he's so happy that he doesn't have any happiness on his face. I don't know how to explain this. This guy's just happy, right? This guy's like, yeah, you know. And this is not very this is not really anger. This is like a battle cry, which can also be a positive response to something, because like, ah, you know. Am I angry? No. Am I excited? Is it my battle cry of excitement? Yes. Right. Same thing here, for example. This guy's like, ugh. You know, again, you know, eyelid, half of the eye, you know, it's not very pleasant. I should have maybe even, you know, made eyebrows up a little bit, so he's kind of like, help, you know. And again, the shapes in those, so eyelids, nose, mouth, and eyebrows, those are the main thing that you manipulate to get any kinds of expression. So now let's get to a really nice presentation that done by Laurel. I gonna link it in the description. She did it for GDC, I think, and it's super amazing. She's the artist who did Warbringers for Warcraft. Those kind of like frame by frame, not frame by frame, but kind of like a parallax 2D animation with really nice paintings. And with her, she basically goes everything that we went through, right? So happiness, same thing. For some reason, she says that the nostrils expand also. Maybe they do expand, right? She talks about how to also push the facial expression to the extreme. In this presentation, I really like how she did it. So, for example, this is just, you know, just sadness, and this is pushed sadness. You know, just making the shape of the mouth more like this and having a few teardrops here and there, she pushed it even more. Same thing with anger, you know, this is just angry face, this is super angry face. But for me, this is not an angry face. This is just a chill dude whose personality is not very pleasant. For me, this is an angry face because I'm almost in animation, and in animation, if it's not 500% pushed, it's not there. People will not register it, at least for me. So for example, here, disgust, same thing, right? What we talked about. The corners of the mouth go down, the chin goes up, and eyes squint, right? So the lower eyelids go up a little bit, and then she's pushing the extreme disgust to a level that, you know, she opens the mouth. And we had a few reference with that. Where is it? When the babushka, you know, opens her mouth slightly, you know. So again, real life reference really help out, right? So fear, same thing. Eyebrows go up, eyelids, I say, open up a little bit for me, and then she says that, you know, the mouth widens, and then maybe the nostril widens. I never noticed that the nostril widens, but probably again, intake of air. See, for me, this is the default surprised or fear facial expression, not this. This is too subtle for my kind of universe. But again, you might have a more of a, you know, you have more of a realistic universe, for example. There's going to be more subtlety, and you don't have the range to push your facial expressions to an extreme. So that's why this is going to be very useful for you. So yeah, watch her talk. It's going to be in the description very soon. If I don't do it, please someone remind me. And then surprise, yeah, so same thing. Eyebrows go up, elongated face, yeah, and then to push to extreme, the mouth shape opens even more. But what's more interesting thing, and I couldn't find any more awesome material than this, that's why I'm showing this and sharing it with you guys. Well, Rail is really good at mixing emotions. So for example, look at this awesome thing that she did, right? So she has happiness mixed with sadness. And what do you get? You know, a very joyful man he's so proud he's about to cry, you know. Yeah. And for example, she also mixes like happiness with a surprise, right? Eyebrows raised, corners of the mouth raised, and the lower lids are also raised, right? He's like, ah, nice, right? Sappiness, some people say, yes. And then happiness plus anger, right? The only thing that she changed, you know, is the upper corner. So if we look at this, it's absolutely the same. So if we have a bad guy, he's like, oh, ha, 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 yes, we can do this, right? And then happiness plus anger, more subtle, for example. This is like extreme, and this is a little bit more of a, you know, kind of subtle of a thing. So this guy just saw something. He's about to taste blood. So he's smiling just a little bit, smirking, right? And his eyebrows. Oh, she even put smolder here, yeah, underneath. Or surprise plus fear, right? So we can combine those different elements and see how they look together. So this guy's surprised, right? Eyes are super wide, eyebrows up, and then mouth down. So he's not only surprised, but he is so fearful of what he sees, right? So for example, for here, he's surprised and happy, and this is surprised and fear, right? Because you can think about this, what makes fear fear, and then just try to combine it. Can you make it fear and disgust? Yeah, what if we just, you know, what if we just take this mouth, you know, and put it here? So now it's fear plus disgust, right? He's like, ugh, you know, we just changed one mouth shape, and the rest we kept the same, right? Yeah. Oh, well, she actually has this one. So yeah, surprise, fear plus disgust, right? Again, we take we take visual cues, which is raised eyebrows, that signal what? There's danger, or there's sadness, or there's a surprise. Opened eyes, that means we're intaking as much information as possible. right? And then, so this is the cues with the nose too, right? And then the mouth determines what the emotion is. So mouth is, I guess, eyes and mouth, but well, everything. But for here, by changing just the mouth, we change the whole expression, right? Yeah. And honestly, if you just think about all of this in simple terms, again, you have to study the face and the planes because it's hard to manipulate. Like, for example, the other day, I did this little thing. I was practicing my facial expressions in an animation program, and it looks kind of like this. So a guy just screaming, right? But it's the same thing. So poker face, he's a little bit angry, right? And then what happens? You know, his nose starts contorting. His mouth is about to go down into anger, you know. Now he's almost at angry stage. Now he's very angry, you know. And then he's about to release it. And then he goes, pa, right? Super angry. As you can see over here in this last frame, right? If you look at frame, and I know this is a disgusting frame, but if you look at this in terms of just shape and volume, and then this, the face got elongated a little bit more. So I lied a little bit. And of course, he went forward a little bit and the perspective changed. But what I did is I lied a little bit, right? I lied a little bit. Lying in art is okay, lying in life not. So when I am creating facial expressions, right? And now let's just dive into a little bit of painting and drawing because we still have a little bit of time left. So when I am creating characters and facial expressions, when things when things squish, I really squish the whole skull. When things squish, I really squish. When things stretch, I really stretch. Yeah, so the skull itself, the face, when you have anger. So let's just do let's just do a Viking with let's just do happiness, right? So let's have the eyebrows go up. It's gonna be like a boy Viking. And then let's have a smile, and then we can have, again, we can have many variations of the smile. So we can have just, this, and then just but this looks interesting. Like, for example, I intentionally made fear plus smile, right? So the facial expression on the top of the eyes shows fear, right? Because he doesn't smile with his eyelids, right? And then the bottom is smiling. So he kind of goes, he looks at somebody right now, he kind of goes, he's so scared. The only reaction that he has right now is a weird, is a weird smile and kind of like a heh sound. Let's do anger with this character, right? So same thing, eyes they go down, facial expression, eyelids go like this, or not eyelids, but brows go like this. We can have some, again, nose is going to be contracted like this, and then we can really push the facial expression here, for example, right? And then we can also have, let's say, those things here, because when I do it like this, he's really angry. He's so angry. It's like me if the stream doesn't go according to plan, right? Like, for example, let's do fear, right? Real fear. He's gonna be like, right? Eyebrows really high up. And we can even elongate his nose if we want to. He's kind of like... And if we want to, we can actually like do this, for example, right? Again, eyebrows go up. And if I was doing the face, I would have probably stretched the face a little bit more, but right now I'm just doing everything on the top. All right, let's do... This is my range of emotions. Angry, angry, happy, and terrified. That perfectly describes Misha as a character of an animation show, right? Let's do... See, I'm a little bit of a psychopath. I need to remind myself what kind of emotions there are. Okay, sadness. Let's do sadness. Right, eyebrows like a little house. Right. And then we have the corners of the mouth. And then we can also do a little, remember the chin here. And that's it. This is sadness. Pretty simple, right? What else is out there? Disgust. All right, so for the disgust, why do we do disgust? See, that's the time. That's one reference come in place, because I already forgot how the disgust face look. Okay, let's look at disgust. Yeah, again, nose, mouth, eyes, and I should have just looked at my own reference, just like, disgusting. Okay, cool. All right, let's look at this. So eyes contort, you know, kind of like, then the nose kind of goes like this. And okay, like, ew. How do we do it? So look at our face, like, ew. Now this looks like more of a... This is more of kind of like, really? See, again, we need to look again at disgust reference. Okay, so one eyebrow open, you know, mouth closed. Yeah, very displeased. So maybe we should do just the classic one, you know. Yeah, disgust. Pretty close. What about we can do... Let's try to do annoying, maybe. Yeah, kind of like... Well, this is... Or what kind of like... what should we do? What about we should gonna be like thinking, kind of like... You know? So the character can be like... You know? Thinking... You know? And trying to think of something. Now, this is just, you know, him being kind of like, really? And smiling at something. But if we're just gonna add a little bit of teeth, and maybe a little bit, we're just gonna change one eyebrow. This is gonna be him plotting something. So basically, if you're doing any facial expressions, those are the things that you manipulate, and you have to trust yourself as a human being. Why? Because if you experience, because the thing is, there's no such a thing as this doesn't look right, or this, if you look at something and it will look not right, you will definitely see that it doesn't look right, and you will understand why, and you will not, and when you will see it, you'll understand it looks right. Why? Because you are really good at figuring out facial expressions, right? So again, your mirror in front of you, you know, and just be like Disney animators, you know, just have fun and do it every day. And just, you know, make sounds, push it to the extreme. So for example, if I would push this pose to an extreme, right? For example, let's see this guy, right? What can I do, right? His mouth is almost open. He shows his teeth, right? So for me to make it even more extreme, what I can do, I can open the mouth even more. I can contract the whole, you know, the whole thing even more. Do this like this, having even more eyelids on top of everything, right? And then I can just do an open mouth that just goes, you know, yeah, right? It is just me opening the shape even more and just making even more, just, you know, even more squished in the face itself, like this, right? So this is kind of like, I don't know, 5% more, 3% more angry. This is kind of like, his eyes are gonna be on fire. He's so angry, yeah, right? So, okay, to recap, first, use your own face. Your own face, right? Your own face, when you look in the mirror, is your best point of reference. When you're doing facial expressions, try to feel like your actor, because you're going to be acting. Look at the movies. Look how people act in the movies and ask yourself, why does this emotion work? Why am I crying in this scene? Make a screenshot, study it. You know, fill up your face, see what muscles are there, you know, and then go and compare it to this and see if you can feel all of those. And when you're going to be doing weird faces on the camera, right? You understand which muscle does what and why. And again, simplify. Simplification is really amazing. So for example, again, if we're thinking about like these muscle groups, what we can do is just do one big circle here, or even join it with this, right? And then when we're gonna have those things, see, it's the same thing. Like this thing is just one giant circle, right? And then the mouth is like a plane here, you know? And then when you're gonna be studying your own face, you'll get your own understanding of rhythms and interactions between muscles and what goes where. But main thing to keep in mind, again, you are your best actor. Go act out in front of the mirror to understand how everything works. You know, look up some structure if you don't understand how it works. Feel it out with your own hands and understand how everything goes and what happens with one facial expression when you change it here and there, right? Because when I was doing the animation study, when I did the angry dude yelling, right? There was a lot of things that I just didn't know worked like that. And I would have never guessed if I would have not looked at my own face. So yeah, you are your best reference. Second is just when you're drawing, make sounds, try to feel out your character, and it's a little bit connected to be the best actor in front of the mirror, but study film. Look how people act in movies and ask yourself, why does this actor good? And go study their facial expressions. Like what the guy that is really good played Grinch, man, just went out of my head. But the guy who played Grinch, you know, he's great at Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is really good at making facial expressions. If you want to really dive into funky facial expressions, go study Jim Carrey, because he mastered and trained his muscle in his face like nobody can. And he's really pushing them to the extreme, right? If we look at Jim Carrey facial expressions, right? Like, this guy is not human. Like, look at this, right? Look at this, look at this, look at this. He's always trying to keep the expression to an absolute maximum. This is not how real human beings react, right? He actually trained himself in front of a mirror to push it to the extreme levels, right? I really like him in the role of Olaf, right? So, yeah, mirror, study film and acting, and see why you'll connect to things emotionally. And 3 is practice, 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 right? Because without practice, sadly, there's no way you'll be able to master it. And there's no amount of information that I give you that will give you your own understanding of facial expressions. Because for every person, the set of facial expressions and how much they push them and how appealing they make it and what muscles they do engage and what they don't engage, it varies a lot, right? So for you guys, right, I just say, like, if you like super 2D stylized like this, just go on, and there's nothing more important than just doing it and being in the trenches and just, you know, doing it by trial and error, because, you know, perfect practice is the best teacher, right? Because if you're gonna listen to this lecture once and you think, oh yeah, I have a pretty good grasp, no, you don't. You know, you just need to go in there and do it many times. So yeah, I think, let's see if I missed anything. I don't think I missed anything. Yeah. Reference. Yeah. Make your own reference. Like this guy, there's a lot of, if you're just gonna type in facial expressions on Google, there's a ton. And some of them are good, some of them are not. Like, for example, this is like super specific to some scene, right? But again, anger, sadness, and whatever, we went through the basic facial expressions. All the other facial expressions, just combinations of that. Because we're social creatures, we need to understand how another human being thinks and because when we're looking at another person's face, we're trying to understand what they feel, and we're trying to understand how we should feel about what they're feeling, right? Yeah. I lost my train of thought, but that's okay. All right, homework. Hopefully this was useful. Your homework. Last time I gave you this homework, which is an obstacle course of little beans of your own characters, just sliding, you know, jumping, and then jumping to another thing. I saw a couple already, and there were some mistakes in it. They treating them like those are different frames. Those are different frames. Those are like, the reason why this is separated is because it's just section 1, section 2, but treat this as an obstacle course that people are running through it like this, right? So here they jumped, here they swam, and blah, 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 blah. Again, this exercise is there to improve your gesture and interaction skills with the environment of your character. And if you did that already, I'm not sure if you did that or not, your next assignment is to your obstacle course, first of all, replace the bean with a real character in a simple form, and then add facial expression that emphasizes the action and the interaction that they're doing in the environment. And also, last time I said to you guys, do expression sheets for your characters, right? If you're a character designer, and this is optional, you can do those basic facial expressions, which is happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, and disgust. And you can just do separate face call out to your character design. Basically, I'm just going to show you an example how it should look like. So right now, your character sheet looks kind of like this, maybe. So you have a turnaround of your character, right? And if you want, you can do this, on top of your gesture sheet. So right now you have a turnaround and you have a gesture sheet if you're almost done with it. So if you are a character designer, you want to explore more of the mood and, you know, the acting of your character, just do, you know, 4 to 5. If you want, you can do more facial expressions on top of your character. Yeah. And let me double check. Is there anything else I'm missing in terms of homework? No. One thing that I want to kind of bring across, guys, please stick around for Q&A session, because right now we're just going to be discussing everything live in the Discord channel. For people who missed it, sorry, but hello from the future. And don't miss our guest speaker. It's going to be CR, an amazing designer who's going to be talking about fundamentals of design. He's a really good concept artist, and because me personally, I don't do that much actual design. I design with emotion, color, and mood, and everything else. And CR is the person to discuss, you know, in-depth shape language. And then we're gonna use my Lumber Saga project. We did a little design together with him for the dog of the main character. So it's gonna be really fun. Join around. Hopefully this was useful. Hopefully you learned something new. And if I refresh your brain, awesome. And if it wasn't useful, well, hopefully at least you enjoyed the company. Yeah, I think for the most part we're done. Yeah, let's meet next, this Wednesday. Don't miss it. Do your homework. Have fun, stay hydrated, be the best actor, go make some faces in front of the mirror. Main thing, make it fun. Don't stress out too much about not meeting the deadline, you know. Work in your own rhythm. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay? So yeah, I'll see you all in the Discord chat. And for people who are not gonna go or watch this in the recording, too bad you missed it. We missed you. But yeah, have fun, skull. Bye bye, guys.